Well, hello and welcome to another episode of Edison Light Globe's video instructions how to do lamp holders. Now today what we're going to do is explain E40 or GES, Goliath, giant Edison screw, whatever you want to call it, this large industrial type fitting. But first, there's been a few comments on the website about my video suggesting that I look a little bit stressed, so for this video, I'll be drinking a Brass GES, which is in fact, I think from Heathcote, Bendigo region, low sulphide, and that should enable me to relax and not jiggle. There we go. Now, Goliath or giant. The first thing to understand probably is why they exist, the reason they're made, and the reason we make them. I can't get this out of the box. There we go. So, a GES or Goliath or giant Edison screw, E40, whatever it is a 40mm, and in the US it'll be 39mm, just to make it just different. So it's a 40mm thread. So E40, 40mm thread. Now, the reason these are 40mm is for industrial use. They're not industrial style that we normally do, but in actual industry where you want a high intensity light globe in a large glass containment so that you can make a 500 watt incandescent globe, and this was traditionally. It also appears that when governments were going through the efficiency of light bulbs and creating efficient systems and demanding efficient lighting systems, they really only concentrated on domestic systems. So that, for instance, in Australia, it was mandatory to make globes of a certain efficiency, and you had to then purchase LED versions or whatever they were, more efficient versions. However, for industry, that wasn't the case, because if they'd made it mandatory for industry, that would have meant they would have been forced to become more efficient, and the downside of that is that the share price would have gone down. I don't understand quite why, but apparently it's only domestic users in Australia and New Zealand, some countries, that are forced to make more efficient globes. So consequently, what we can do is we can make a vintage filament E40 at 60 watts, which is completely inefficient and probably you shouldn't use. However, this is what we're allowed to do. So that's the size of the cap. The one thing we have done, however, is we have created, oops, I can't get this out. We have created an efficient LED version E40. And these are monster size. Now we do have these as E27, but it's just in terms of a pattern. When you see this screwed into a lamp holder, it's a little bit more balanced when you do E40. It has this shape to it that gives us what is a very large light globe lamp holder structure, which you can imagine in areas where you have a lot of spare room overhead. This will fill a bit of space. It'll create a sort of a lampshade. It's a nice big soft filament, reasonably bright. This is, I think, is it 9 watts? It's a 9 watt LED with a 2200K filament. It's actually a very thick piece of glass, so not too fragile. But these probably are designed then to give us an industrial look, a bit quirky. So this is this is an oversized globe. We have a few of these, not too many, but we do have a few, so bear that in mind. Now the lamp holders, what we're going to try to do is explain what we might do to provide lamp holders. Now the first lamp holder we supplied as E40 was a German-made E40 lamp holder for 240 volts, made basically for industry and used primarily in shipping for heavy duty industrial spotlight type onboard lighting systems. Now These were made in Germany by a company called Whisker, and they've decided at some point to discontinue manufacturing these. So we have a very small range that we supply as a pendant type product, but we no longer supply these as a rewirable lamp holder because Whisker has stopped manufacturing, and we thank Whisker for that decision. So what we've done is we've imported what are a Chinese made lamp holder. Now these are, strangely, in terms of compliance, there's no safety compliance in a lot of countries for these because they're industrial. So they're meant to be used by trained personnel. They're not a domestic product, so there's no safety compliance overlay. Having said that, we try to make these as safe as possible because we know people are using them domestically. So we've had this manufactured with an earth tab, and also we've removed. What they were was a very sort of simple system, and what it did was it sort of allowed you to see the thread of the globe, which we didn't think was very elegant. So we had manufactured a replacement ceramic skirt, I think it's called, which gives us a little bit more cover, which covers the thread. Now we can make that in, obviously it's fairly fragile because it is a lightly fired ceramic component, but we can also paint those black for effect so that it's a little bit nicer. Now this is the lamp holder that we are going to wire, but I thought I would explain also our ceramic lamp holders. Now as you can see, these are massive compared to a regular porcelain lamp holder, but they're beautifully made. They're fired porcelain with an anti-rotation. It's difficult to get off. There we go, I got it off. Rewirable. We sell these as separate lamp holders. These would be used obviously for the same E40 globes, and as you can see, they're quite large on the small globe, but appropriate on the very large globe. If I can do it again, I'll show you what that looks like. I think you can see that. You can see it actually looks quite balanced, and these are really heavy, so they'll hang really well. I won't go and rewire one of these. What I'm going to do is I'm going to explain how to rewire what is essentially a cord grip converted version of this E40 lamp holder. Originally these are a gas thread, I think 3/8 or something stupid thing. We've made an adapter that suits a 1/2 inch screw-in cord grip of our brass type cord grip. So we end up with a strong cord grip earthed shrouded E40 lamp holder. So the first thing we need to do is disassemble this lamp holder. We'll start by removing the skirt. We'll take out the cord grip component and detach the cap and the cord grip plastic as we normally do. And then we will unscrew the top on the body, and we'll see that the connector just comes out. Now these connectors are a ceramic with a brass, I think a passivated brass screw thread, and you can see the active terminal here. There's a centre pin and the neutral terminal connected to the thread. So the first thing I like to do is just get these a little bit inboard because they tend to be accessible a little bit, and it's possible that if you wire badly you can come into contact with the outside of the cap. Let's see that this way. So I just like to just get those pushed in just a little bit. I don't have a pair of pliers here, but I'll just push it in without breaking it. Oh gee, that was strong. I need another glass of wine. Cheers. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to remove the screws completely. This will become obvious because what I prefer with these is to attach little, what do they call Louis?
An earth tab, an earth grommet?
No, it's got a name and I can't remember. Anyway, well, a crimp. I'm going to crimp on a looped crimp so that this will be screwed on and bonded with a crimp rather than just tying it around and trying to do up the screw. I'm going to attempt to crimp these on. Now, I don't normally do this, so this might take a little bit of time. However, the first thing we need to do is grab the cable. Now, we've got a nice bit of cloth covered pulley cable in a canvasy Hessian-y thing. This is an Italian cable. Now this has a double insulation. Obviously there's 3 cores insulated, covered by another insulator. So the first thing we need is the cord grip cap. We'll start. We need the cord grip components, pointy end first. And get that over the bits. Bit ugly. Put on the lamp holder cap. Now we need to explain the tool that we use to strip this. It's a nifty little stripping tool, and I'm going to put that on probably 1 inch and a bit, or maybe 3 centimetres, and we'll just twist that around once. And in theory that should have cut the insulator to expose the 3 cores. Actually that worked better than expected, so good. Now the first thing we need to do is connect the earth, because we do have an earth tab in the top of this lamp holder. We just need to strip 1 centimetre, 1/2 inch, point something of a kilometre. So the first thing is to connect this tab. We have that undone, so we twist and bend and push that, you can see, into the tab, the earth tab. Have that just proud so you can see it, and then attach. I'll see if the Shiraz works. Yeah, not so much. Ooh, there we go. So now we have that connected. Now we've got to make sure we've got enough cable to get onto our crimp. I'm going to attempt the first one, which will be active. I'm just going to twist that. I think we've got enough room. So first thing we do is attach the crimp, and we just have that, if you can see that, Louis. Yips. We just need to have that into the hole of the crimp so that the cable is just visible here, and we cover the insulator, the brown insulator. Oh, this is locked up. There we go. So now we've got a little red bar here, a little red dot, which corresponds to the crimp in red. So we're going to attempt to crimp that in. I'm assuming that's going to work. It's very hard to do with the camera. I'm going to push that back in, Louis. Oh, let's start that again. That just popped out. Let's do that again. So we push that in up to the insulator and crimp hard. That just ratchets on. And we now have a locked on crimped loop. We'll do the same for the neutral. I'm going to put that on again. I'm going to hold it this time and crimp down. If you can see that in there. Mm-hmm. And ratchet down, hold tight, and we now have that crimped on. So they're a little bit safer than what we would normally do. We're looking for the active terminal, which is the centre pin, which corresponds to this version, this crimp. We get our little screw. I'm hoping I'm not moving around too much. I'm trying to keep still. Oops. How you do this with one hand, I don't know. But we're going to screw that on. Gee, look at that. This is very hard to do while you're explaining. Maybe I'll sit it on the ground, on the bench. There we go. You see that? Good. There we go. We have the active, and now we're looking, I just might bend this back a little bit, and then we're trying to put on the neutral. Now, I probably could have made it a little bit longer, but it does fit. Oops. I need smaller fingers or bigger screws, one of the two. Let's get that on. It's in, tighten that up. There we have it. The earth, active and neutral, all lined up. Now, there are little anti-rotation tabs here, which we'll lock into. You'll see them there, lining up with the slot. Once we've got that in, got that feeling about right, it actually looks like we need to just bend these in a little bit, because they are just coming into contact with the top cap. That's better. Okay, so now the base just screws on, and that doesn't have an anti-rotation system, just locks on, again because it's not building for safety, because it's industrial. And then there's this shroud separates the body from the neutral screw thread, and we can do that up reasonably tight, and that becomes the strength in the lamp holder. Now, the other part is I've forgotten to put on the bottom part of the cord grip, because I wasn't assuming that I'd do that. So I'm going to cut this here. Don't show that. I'm going to thread that on now. So this is not ideal, but let's just thread that on. It's a bit ugly. Screw that into place. This is the base of the cord grip. Then we get the cord grip plastic parts. Shit, it's hard to get on this end. That's why I don't like doing it this way. Why is it doing that? All of this pushing it up the wrong way can damage the braided cable, so I prefer to have it already on, but there you go, this is what happens. And the cap. So again, like all our other products, this cord grip is exactly the same product. Push the plastic in, push the cap on, very carefully get that to thread without stripping. Ooh, tight. So there we have it, the finished E40 industrial lamp holder as a pendant. You can screw in one of these to have a look at it. I won't turn it on because I'll probably electrocute myself. But these are probably a little small, but again with the extra large Goliath, you'll see the effect. Magic. That's basically a modern LED copy of a vintage system, and we've seen these used in a number of places, and I think the last place we used these, Louis, was Goodwood Revival. They use these in their vintage tent enclosures to show a vintage theme for their vintage racing, motorcar racing event. So these are still usable. They're CE 240 volt compliant. They're not safety compliant because they're industrial, like I said. However, we make them as safe as possible using the shroud and the earth tab, so you can be perfectly happy. Your electrician should be able to install these. But anyway, there it is. If you've got any questions, get onto us on the website. If you like these videos, probably should see a psychologist, but just in case you're really interested and you want to see other things, subscribe to our video. We do need you to subscribe for us to continue to do this. I know it's weird, but we do have to. As I say, any other questions, let us know. For now, that's it. I think we've got one more lamp holder to go, maybe two, and we'll be finished the boring lamp holder connection series. So Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.